They have to produce a video that explains what they are doing, a website, and on and on and on. If you compare it to our discussion on how learning works, you will see that it mimics the sensory system. The learning that they are undergoing is, I'm not sure I like the word attacking, but it basically triggers the brain's different sensory system. To build the exhibition booth, they have to climb on a ladder, build something physically, not only design it, but they also have to physically build it. So that's one side of the sensory system. To produce a video, they have to be the actors. So that's their body. They have to be the actors, the left brain, the right brain. When the theme was construction and how do you rescue valuable material from a construction site of when there is demolition, and they needed to build an exhibition booth, some teams brought real bricks, those cement big bricks. Nobody says that the exhibition booth needs to be made of bricks. In fact, it makes very little sense. But what makes sense or makes no sense is the wrong way to explain it. Because remember my explanation that it all comes from the stem of their body, and the way I view it is that it's their existence that is leading it.
Let's move on to BEST, and then because I do want to bring the awareness about this program to people. I wasn't aware of it, and one of the reasons is because I live in Europe, and such a thing is not available here. But I don't know if it's very famous in the US. It seems there are a lot of participants. It's available in lots of states. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
So what basically started with Ted and Steve, whom we mentioned earlier, and many, many, many thousands phenomenal volunteers, including also university, is really a dream of a learning. And that is every single year a theme. And the theme can be space station, or the theme can be conquering viruses, or the theme can be the issue of supply chain, or the theme can be anything which is a problem that we have created and needs to be solved. An engineering model of that theme is being created in front of teams of students in hubs across the country and also in India. And the problem is then being, I would say, unleashed together with tasks that the teams from schools of middle school and high school, the tasks and the problem, the engineering model, is being addressed by these teams. What does it mean? It means that the teams have 8 weeks to solve the engineering enigma, as well as solve all the spectrum of tasks around it. The enigma, the engineering-based enigma, as I call it, could be, as it was last year, a human that requires 9 minimally invasive surgeries within 3 minutes. So each team needs to build something which we adults call a Da Vinci. They need to design it, produce it, build it, and bring it to work on this engineering model of a human and solve these 9 dysfunctions inside this human within 3 minutes. Each team will choose which of the 9 they can do within 3 minutes, and whatever they design needs to clear the arteries, fix the heart, the brain, the shoulders, which obviously they've never done before, They need to research what is a Da Vinci. They need to research by going to a hospital, how do you fix things like that? So they have a journey to learn what is this all about. They will also learn that hospitals will open their doors to them because they might as well be future surgeons or healthcare employees. Aside to that, which is ambiguous because can it really be done? Leave the issue of the 3 minutes. Can you design something that can solve so many complex issues? And there are many planted issues within that model that are questionable if they can be really done. It's designed this way. Remember the ambiguity.
So who designs it? And first of all, these kids are between the 6th and the 12th grade.
Correct.
Team.
Design it are two teams of volunteers who work year-round to come up with the theme, the enigma, the tasks. I call it an enigma because none of us really know to the last fact whether it really, all of it can be done. So we think theoretically and we believe theoretically and practically that it can be done. And we test it. But can all of it be done? How it can be done? We have ideas how it can be done, but it's ambiguous.
Yeah.
And the students are aware, the students and the mentors are aware that this isn't 2 + 2 are 4. It isn't. It's done in such a way that there's no clarity like a mathematical formula. It isn't the case. It never is. So these two volunteer committees are working year by year to create a real life challenge that is ambiguous.
So what does the model look like? Does it look like a person? Does it look like a box with some bolts?
No, it looks like enactment of a human made of different material, large enough, much larger than a human, but has the 3D, not 3D printer, a 3D impression of something that we all look at it and we say, yeah, it can be a human. And the brain wraps around it and say, okay, I can see whatever I create driving here from the shoulders to the brain. So the brain of us does believe that it is somewhat enactment of a human.
Yeah, interesting. Mm-hmm.
But remember, this is only one thing. There's only one thing that the teams have to wrap their hands and head around. They also have to design and build an exhibition booth where they put all the information that they have gathered in the process, stay on the minimally invasive surgery. So they have to put all the information that they've gathered, the way they interpret it, build an exhibition booth, display the information, stand in it for a weekend, and people who come to visit and ask them, they need to explain what is it that they are doing. Not in the exhibition, but in the entire process of these minimally invasive surgery. How did they come up with it? And what are their conclusions? How they're saving the human? Why did they pick what they picked? How did they design what they designed? They're adults. And again, they're being assessed. So that's only one of many more tasks that they have. They have to produce a video that explains what they are doing, a website, and on and on and on. If you compare it to our discussion on how learning works, you will see that it mimics the sensory system. The learning that they are undergoing is, I'm not sure I like the word attacking, but it basically triggers the brain's different sensory system. To build the exhibition booth, they have to climb on a ladder, build something physically, not only design it, but they also have to physically build it. So that's one side of the sensory system. to produce a video, they have to be the actors. So that's their body. They have to be the actors, the left brain, the right brain.
You mentioned that some groups last year with this Da Vinci example actually brought, was it stone bricks or some sort of bricks to build the booth that were
Yes.
real
So
bricks?
when the theme was construction and how do you rescue valuable material from a construction site of when there is demolition, and they needed to build an exhibition booth, some teams brought real bricks, those cement big bricks. Nobody says that the exhibition booth needs to be made of bricks. In fact, it makes very little sense. But what makes sense or makes no sense is the wrong way to explain it. Because remember my explanation that it all comes from the stem of their body, and the way I view it is that it's their existence that is leading it. And if they understand demolition and construction, that the bricks are essential to explain it, I should take 2 steps back and make no such comments, because they understand bricks as an essential piece. And that's the way they want to explain it to the public. And the executive should take 1 step back, because that's the way they learn it, explain it, and want to teach it to the public. And so they carried very heavy bricks with a 4x4 truck that somebody had to bring it. Is it crazy? I don't know anymore, because I think what is crazy and what is right is probably the wrong terms to use. Anyway.
What are the logistics of BEST? How do children join, and how do they meet? How does it work?
I think the logistics of BEST is that for students to participate, a school, because it's a school program and it's free, that was the vision of Steve and Ted and Texas Instrument. The logistic is that a school says, we want to participate. We want to send students and a teacher as a mentor. Then a family member or a teacher or a principal can sign a student or students to participate. The students, because of their age, cannot sign up directly, because once the program is so demanding, to prevent a situation where students will register others as a teaser or as a game, we prevented that. So a school will sign the school, and a parent, a teacher, or a principal will then accept a student's application or a team's application to sign them in. Because this way we have a little bit of a buffer to know that students really wanted to be part of it. Because if they carry bricks, you want to make sure that the people who really wanted to carry the bricks are in it. I'm using the example you brought up, so there's no misunderstanding.
So there's clearly a lot of interest, high demand, and children keep coming again and again, right? Year after year, you mentioned.
Correct. Often the case is that once they participated last year, and if the theme was minimally invasive surgery, they want to know what will they need to solve next year. Because the curiosity of, we solved the challenge of medical difficulties, but will we be able to solve the issue of gravity? If the challenge is gravity, of not being able to hold to the ground because we are in space or wherever we will we be able to meet this difficulty? I think the curiosity that we have as humans, that there's always something more complex and more difficult for us to solve, is one of the biggest motivations that people have.
What other subjects have there been in the past years that children have worked with?
Rescuing people from a mine, cleaning the ocean, balancing robots on a crane, on a pole, which is a crane. Things that are, you mentioned challenges. The students met President Obama. They met President Obama when the challenge was creating, again, gravity issue, when the challenge was creating a mechanism that can not only climb on a pole upwards, but can also function in solving an engineering difficulty while climbing on a pole. And when they came and met him, President Obama, at the White House, he said, "No, I don't think it can be done." And so a wonderful and engaging student, a female young student from Alabama, from middle school, said, "Mr. President, do you mind if I teach you how to do that?" And he said, and he turned and he said to his team at the White House, "She's going to show me how I can do it. I don't think it can be done." And there's a video of this whole conversation. And she said, "Let me show you. Do you want to hold the controller?" And he said, "Absolutely. Nobody lets me control anything here." And she shows him how what they created as a team can climb on a pole while doing different functions at the same time. Because again, the higher level of the cognitive brain can solve things that we think cannot be done. Learning how to learn.
Yeah.
He said, "No, cannot be done." They knew that it was doable, so they showed him. He invited them to come again.
Fantastic. Wonderful story. So what happens with all of these solutions? Who makes use of them?
The schools. Again, a wonderful question. These solutions stay with the schools. Many of the schools will use them as a way to teach STEM, as a way to teach the way STEM is being used in real industry. Because remember, this is part of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The whole point of a program like ours is to show that this is the industry. This is really how industry functions. So the schools will use these solutions. The teachers will use it to show the rest of the classes, the rest of the students, how this can be used in a way to create industry, to innovate. And you asked about it. So this is the way it's being used. It brings more students, more teachers to participate in BEST.
That's a fantastic transition then to the next topic of the future of learning and what we need to implement and change in the educational system. Maybe not even think about changing, but completely create it from the ground up.
I think the way we need to is to really engage as much as possible and as many as possible young minds in such a way of learning. The more we train young minds, and not only young minds, anyone of any age in such a way of learning, we will have more people who go to innovation and entrepreneurship, but we will also have people who are employees, workers in industry, who will make a difference. Because you see, and I see through this conversation, that the potential of tapping into this higher level of learning is so big, so high. It's not only that it gets people excited and elevated and motivated, you're then creating people who can any minute tap into their potential and contribute to an employer, contribute in innovation, contribute in startup. You're basically increasing the volume of anyone of any age. I saw it through the military training where I was training for more than 15 years. And you see in all the domains of the different military and the security systems, how people are able to achieve endless. But you see the same thing in all industries. You just need to teach people differently, to engage them differently, so that they would become aware that they can, like a light switch, they can switch it up any second, and they will become owners of their higher end cognitive capacities. Any second, they own it, that switch. Switch it up, and you can deliver anything in you.
Do you think that the educational system needs to change and adapt with these learning insights? Or is it that it will naturally transform when we add a program like BEST to more and more schools, and they would just,
I think
it would
both
just
need,
drive it alongside?
I think both need to happen at the same time. I think the education system needs to change to this way of learning, and more students need to engage with a program like BEST, which is free and boosts them, literally, as we say, boosting STEM, engineering, mathematics, and technology. Both need to happen because there's no risk, there's no downside to participating in a program like that. You get it. And adults need to participate because it closes the skills gap. Adults need to participate because they will get more employment and they will be more effective. All of these three things need to happen.
Is there a program specifically designed for adults at the moment?
We are working on launching the adults version. That's a separate conversation. Marty is the president of our, Marty Strong, whom you interviewed, is the president of Best Mind Lab, which is our version of Best for Adults.
Yeah, I will link a video to the episode that I recorded with Marty.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
can check it out as well. It was also very
Yes.
insightful. I had so much pleasure with this conversation, so many insights. It's a very deep topic. I would like to have you back at some point with more insights for education for adults and how we can transform the future to adapt to the new technologies, whatever is coming, all the challenges that we see in this world. And maybe you can share some cases of the previous BEST competitions. That would be great. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything you shared.
Thank you so much, Zoina. Learning in our potential is exactly like what happened in our conversation. It's about the potential. The more we tap into the potential, the more we will achieve. Thank you, Zoina.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.